for your own?
It's up to you. We can use it for private purposes, and if you are comfortable, I can post it on my podcast. So it's your call.
Okay.
So
Maybe we
how?
can see afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm good. Yeah, it's afternoon here. It's 3 o'clock, so
Same.
I've had a good day.
That's good. And where
And
are you located?
in Germany, in Hamburg.
Oh, okay. All right. You have a beautiful German accent.
Oh, I do. Oh, thank you. I'm actually English,
Yes, I hear
from
it.
the
Yeah.
UK,
Hmm.
but I've been living here a long time now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
No, it's funny because whenever I talk, I have so many Brit friends and they are all over the globe. It's like you guys cannot
mm.
stay put. Yeah, everywhere. And I'm just like, it's hilarious to me. I have British friends in London, British friends in Greece, they're everywhere. And it
Yeah,
just
so funny, and they're
astounds
drawn
me.
to you then, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, that they're all over the place. So my project works like this. I have something called Operation Imagination, which is basically my radical global healing plan designed to heal people while we get toward world peace. So one of my favorite things to do in philosophy is to collect perspectives.
Mm.
And you study for so long, and then you get to a point where you realize the only place left to study philosophy is literally talking to people and just accumulating perspectives. And with my mission, I know my opinions and all that jazz, but I'm ready to hear what everybody else wants for world peace. Now, we say world peace, it's a very generic, yeah, I want world peace. Yeah, but what does it look like? So I'm asking everyone, what does a day in the life of world peace look like to you? If you were to wake up, hear the news, and then there it is, what would you see? What would it feel like?
Wow, yeah. I mean, for a start, it would mean though there's no bombs, no guns, no, the obvious violence in any of the countries where there's currently war raging, like an armistice everywhere.
Mhm.
And then from that point of view, um, everybody involved in that kind of decision making would come together
Mhm.
and probably have specialists there who are good at communicating, like mediators, maybe people communicating without, what's it called again, the non-violent communication. So
Yeah.
experts there to help guide that kind of conversation. Um, so it doesn't just stay with the one day, but actually moving forward, there are plans
Yeah.
to make it a permanent thing.
Mhm.
And I also, I mean, this is obviously on the outer obvious level, where it's visible. But I do believe that all of us contribute to any kind of discord or any kind of war or conflict by what's going on inside ourselves.
Mm.
So for it to stay at that level, I believe everyone would need to work at some kind of conscious level to heal any kind of conflict within oneself, which I think is a human condition.
I
um,
disagree. Very respectfully, I disagree. When
I love
I
it when you disagree, please.
Yes, yes. And I love I'm one of those persons when I hear something I don't agree with, I can't keep my mouth shut, but I want to convey
Mhm.
my absolute respect for your opinion. So there's the subconscious mind talking from our trauma and our fear systems. And
Mhm.
then there is our identity. They sound nothing alike. Our identity is unique. It's our dreams. It's what we love. It's what we aspire. It's all of the good in us. I have yet to meet an identity that was not beautiful, completely steeped in love. It's the
Mhm.
subconscious mind's fear that the subconscious mind itself it's not sentient. It has its own, and I'm beginning to wonder, but it's highly logical. And it's
Mhm.
not connected to our consciousness. That's what I need to say. It might have its own consciousness, and if it does, it is not connected to ours. So we don't know if it has a consciousness or not. That being said, when the fear system gets activated, now people are moving and taking actions out of fear. It shapes our behavior to reflect what's going to keep us safe. And those traits, the fear traits, reflect our fears and traumas, our trauma traits. These are not character traits. This is not the human condition. This is the fear condition. And in my mind, I see a very separate thing. Now, in sociology, you have the individual, the community, the greater community, and it grows. On an individual level, and it's vital that we remember that within a community, there is each individual sentience. You have somebody who can choose to evolve, grow, and change. And it is possible in every one of us. In fact, it's evolution. We have to do it. We will be doing it. And heal. And as you go through those stages, once you know how, then all of those character traits go away. They're not character traits at all. It's not a human condition at all. The human condition is to love. The human condition is to grow and evolve and to improve themselves. The human condition is to pool together our resources with community and to value our community with people who are violent, people who go to war, and people who are aggressive or broken. I don't like broken. People who are suffering from those fears and traumas. Those people are people who do not understand. They learned a different lesson, that there is nothing else, and they lost trust and hope. And that's the result. So what we're seeing is a complete lack of trust and hope. It's absolutely, in my opinion, it's not the fear system, or it's not the human condition at all. And to say it's the human condition is almost to dismiss one's ability to change. And once you start calling it a fear condition rather than the human condition, it starts a mentality that changes. So that's one of the things. Thank you. It's one of the things I advocate in my program is this, what we have accepted as hopelessness for the human condition is actually, there's an answer to this. We haven't known it until now. And once you get the answer, once you understand how, it's easy peasy. It's like, oh my God, this is it. It's so simple. It is. And all it is illogical fallacy. That's all it is. It's just we learned a lesson that contradicted our core logic. That's all it is. In fact, I have it right here. I'll read it to you. This is I was writing this last night. Let me get the right paper up here. Oh, where's my paper? Oh, here it is. Okay. Nope, that's not it. Let me see if I can do it from memory. Can I do it from memory? It is, I cannot do it from memory. It is, oh, it's so well written too. Like I don't want to botch it and say the wrong thing. I'll come to it, but go ahead and continue. We were talking about the human condition in general and world peace. What you said, contributing. I love that. What methods would you like to see for contribution going forward with the remedy, so to speak?
What methods? I mean, I think any of us who are in the coaching, the healing, even the therapy space, all of the methods we use will contribute to that. You know, that's what we're doing already. And I think, you know, well, as you were speaking earlier on about the trauma and people, you know, having their past and operating out of fear, I also believe there's a lot of brainwashing that's happened. So that is, I wonder sometimes, how can something so deep be, you know, reversed, as it were? I think, and you know, because there also has to be a willingness.
No, not at all.
Do you not think so?
No, not for brainwashing. No, it's like a battle of conscious awareness. It's words are the most powerful thing we have. And there's a lot of skeptics and a lot of abused people who say words are, they crap on words. And when you reach a certain point with education, you start to realize the power of words. And there's three stages of this. The first stage is the sentence we all hear growing up: the pen is mightier than the sword.
What, sorry?
The pen is mightier than the sword. It is, I'm not sure if you heard about this. It's a common colloquialism in the United States.
Ah,
I
okay.
actually, I believe it was said by Ben Franklin. It means that written word is more powerful than war. And it was said at a time when the Declaration of Independence was made. So that's probably a United States colloquialism here, is the pen is mightier than the sword. And
Yeah.
then the next stage after that is a realization of the power of words. And we see this with manifestation believers, where it's almost spell work. But the next level over that is there's something that I like to refer to as shrinking words for degradation mindset, and then the list of banned God words. And I've been doing a lot of research on these two things lately. The degradation mindset is very much, that's the difference between poor man and rich man. It's the difference between, and that's a bit inaccurate, but it's the difference between first and low and middle class and high class. Degradation mindset is stay small, shrink, be meek, be humble, be humiliated. And then humble is used to glorify this state of submission and degradation. And this is all done using words. All of it is done using words. And then there's a list of words that anytime we go to use those words, we're scolded, reprimanded, or punished by all types of people. Arrogance is one of them. I love to use arrogance for this example. Every time we start to feel self-pride, which is vital to mental health, somebody is almost always there to say, you need some humility. And that kind of lack of conscious awareness is, you start to feel self-pride, and that's fantastic. Those are called grow words. There's grow words and there's shrink words. And the grow words are actually, we are shamed for using the grow words in our culture. So once we become aware of this massive word usage in our culture, it changes. Once you become, you change, an individual changes. And then once we get the awareness out and it spreads, people become conscious of using grow words, wanting and looking to use grow words, and then avoiding the shrink words. And definitely not praising, smalling yourself and shrinking yourself down. And what you said about subliminal messaging is part of it. But and we see this with families where a person will say something in a family or do something. And it used to be very common back in the 50s. A person would say something, I need to clarify, in the 1950s in the United States, it was something that was common was, the Joneses don't do that. That's not what we do. And it was undeniable. It was not questioned. It was just, okay, that's it. And I do something similar in my family. We don't do that. That's what I say. We don't do that. If I hear name calling between my children, it is we don't do that. If I hear one of my children bashing themselves, we don't do that. I will correct it and then I will tag that on there. And the reason why is it's absolutely pulling from our mimic repetition behavior. And that's it right there, is our primary learning skill is mimic and repetition. This is instinct. This is human. This is how we learn, is mimic and repetition. But the mimic, it means you have to set an example. So if you go out to the grocery store and you are aware of these grow and shrink words, and you start to use them on purpose loud enough for others to hear them, assuming you have a child, if you have a child and your child is unruly and you correct the child using the proper skill sets and you say something, it's that moment when another mother walks past and says, ooh, I like that. I'm going to use that. That's it right there. Mimic and learn. Yeah. So it's very much based off of a role model, set an example. And if we groom, coach, train, educate role models, and it's You want to heal? Okay, we're going to heal you. While we heal you, we're also going to give you the option of basically training you into, I call them light workers because everyone's using that term and it's fantastic. These are my light workers. My light workers are actually role models. And the role models are going to take my program, coach themselves to full healing, and then be mindful that there's mimic and repetition going on. These are the words you should use. These are the words we should stop using. And then just live and set the example. It will spread. People will see it. Hi, yeah, I love the way you parent. Where'd you learn this? Oh, it's a program I'm part of called whatever. I haven't come up with a catchy name yet. Right now it's called the Radical Global Healing Plan. I got to come up with something snazzy. But it's very much this role model, mimic, repetition, using our own evolution against us to heal us, while also using subliminal messaging, but it's just positive affirmation.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely, I'm very excited about it. But the scale is just networking. It's the exact same process as networking. So I'm very, very excited about it. My other question for you is, are you familiar at all with, are you spiritual? Are you tapped into the energy and all that jazz?
Yes.
I would love to know your story of how you got introduced to the energy. When did you first realize there was something bigger than you out there?
Do you know, I feel I had that as soon as I was born.
Mm-hmm.
I really, as long as I can
Me too.
think.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. And I was drawn to anything godlike. Angels, not so much. It's more like the God and the Bible. I was given a children's Bible. I just loved all these stories.
Oh yeah, the story. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, I was
Church,
baptized
not
at
so much,
13.
but
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Say
church,
that
I
once
love
more.
school.
Oh,
So
church, you
Sunday
said?
school. Yeah, going to church on a Sunday wasn't so interesting unless there was Sunday school. You know, that was
Yeah.
kind of as a child. And then when I was 16, I went to a French community. I didn't know where I was going. It's just a friend of mine said, "Oh, there's a free space in the bus. We're going to France. Do you want to come?" I was like, "Sure." And then when I got there, I was like, "Oh, wow, this is a community." There was praying, there was singing, it was international. Oh, it was so special. And that's where something really profound happened
Yeah.
to me, or I just experienced something where I just knew, wow, this is
Yeah. Yeah.
divine, you know, it's just
yeah.
that. So that was really special. I was 16 and really it continued from there. And my so my parents had stepped away from the church, but my dad's side of the family was very into the church, and so they kind of gave me Bibles and gave me all the stuff to read, and I just really loved it. And I kind of was always drawn that way despite my family of origin. And it's that side of the family were very much into evangelizing and missionaries. That one uncle was actually a missionary with his wife. But that I even as a young child, I didn't see it. I just was like, I love the idea of being a missionary, but not for one religion. It just
Oh
did
my
not make sense to
goodness.
me.
Yeah.
Did not make sense to me that that was the only one, because I just thought there's God, and who am I to say that I'm believing in the right one, you know?
Yeah.
So that was very clear to me from really as long as I can think. So I really feel that I've got this very strong spiritual connection and always have had it. But for a long time, I ignored it. I lost sight of it. I was in the corporate world. I was kind of very much in the masculine, going, doing, climbing up that ladder, but constantly also feeling drawn to something else. And so I left. I went and did a teaching degree as a mature student, taught for a while. I went back to, actually, I went to live in a monastery for over a year because I was drawn to that. And
Which Buddhistic monastery or?
it's actually Catholic. It
Catholic.
was
Okay.
Catholic.
Yep.
Yeah, but it wasn't because I was drawn to the Pope and all that side. It was really despite that. I actually encountered the monastery when I was 19 and I fell in love with it. But I just knew I couldn't live there at that point, you know?
Yeah. I spent a
But,
year doing the way of the Buddha.
oh,
And
wow.
after, I'll tell you, it was enlightening.
Wow.
And it was not for me. It was
Mm,
very much when I was dead. I understand suffering. Why do I understand So much suffering. To avoid it, we spend our lives avoiding it, averted, horribly terrified of, oh my goodness, suffering. We're terrified of it. So we avoid it. Buddhism, you embrace it and you step right into it and you become it. And I learned so much about stepping into one's emotions, which is ironic because Buddhism teaches the opposite.
Yeah, right.
And that actually launched another massive, that's actually why I left Buddhism, is because their absolute opposition to emotions is not healthy, in my opinion. In my professional opinion, like solidly, like I see damage done to the subconscious mind with that concept. And my work covers the stages of growth. Buddhism is clearly at the 7th stage, which is full silence. It's the 7th perspective is amazing. It is that moment when you realize how small you are, how significant you are, how great the world is, and how little you are. You find out how significant and insignificant you are at the same time, simultaneously. And it's just you and the universe. And you just don't want to talk. You can be in this stage for a long time. It's just, I don't want to talk. It's just you looking and observing like you're an infant again. And you're there with the universe. It felt like it was Judgment Day. It was these are all of the sins I've committed. These are all of my transgressions. I have a lot to answer for. I did. And it's like you weigh this scale of these are all the good. These are all the bad. I am the summation of my actions. What kind of a person am I? It's so powerful. And this is where Buddhism stops. At the 10th perspective, you step into all the emotions. You realize that emotions are supposed to be free to ebb and flow, and that they are superior, hierarchical. That's the wrong word. There is no right or wrong emotion. They are logical and they are a part of you. And to remove and reject fear or anger, to reject and resist hate is toxic, because the hate and the anger is a part of you. And you can't remove a part of you. The emotion is there for a reason. They're highly logical. And this is a big problem. Gene Roddenberry is to blame. Star Trek.
Okay.
Spock. Spock. Yeah. I was so funny. I put together a logical argument the other day that proved Spock is wrong. Humans are very logical, very logical. We are so logical that when there is illogic, it hurts us. And that is where mental illness comes from. And then to accommodate our fear, we create illogical behavior to survive a dangerous situation. And the contradiction of the illogic to our own truth and logic causes us such significant pain that we end up living with severe mental illness as a result. And emotions are highly logical and tuned into the health of our logic line. Humans are very logical. So once you understand this about emotions, it is very much an acceptance of all the emotions. And in order to do that, you have to allow, this is the quote card I was looking for a minute ago. Here's the quote. You have to allow for full, free fluidity of logical conclusion. And when we have an experience come to us, when we have data comes to us, a passing of a loved one, we want to shape the logical conclusion around our own desire. And that causes the contradiction. We must allow for the fluidity and the freedom of the logical conclusion to deduct itself. And when you do that, the emotions will ebb and flow and form around the new logical conclusion. And then it will settle. The process is an emotional pathway, and it takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes up to 30 minutes max. If you are in a balanced and aligned emotional state with no mental illness. And then the logical conclusion settles. The new reality is presented in a logical deduction, and your emotions are all buzzing perfectly and aligned. And yes, you may have lost a partner. Yes, you may have accepted the passing of a loved one, but you are aligned to your truth. Whatever your truth is, it's subjective, but you are aligned to it. And you've learned at that point, the 10th perspective, 11th and 12th perspective, to allow for this full formation without your attached interference. And Buddhism does not, in my experience, I'm still a student. In my experience, Buddhism does not allow for that, which is why I left, is because I saw shoving away. And I'm beginning to second guess it, because now I'm looking at it going, does it allow for it? But the interpretation today is to not go with that. And also, if they're not using the words properly, if they're not communicating this study properly, and mind you, this is from the 9th century, 8th century. So there may have been lost translation. It is quite possible that this is actually Buddhism. However, we've lost it in translation because of the oral stories. So that's also something to take into account. And the more I'm talking, the more I'm wondering if that's actually where it's supposed to go, but we've botched the translation, the communication, that people think, oh, Buddhism is rejecting and suppressing the anger. And I was part of several Buddhistic communities, and I saw too much of that, so I left, which is why I'm like, no, this is not for me. So I'm wondering if it's a modern translation of a concept that they're not getting. So now I have to rethink Buddha. I have to go back to Siddhartha and actually look at the Buddha and see his.
That book. There's a book by a German author called Hermann Hesse, and that was it was called Siddhartha. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. But,
it is. Yes. Yep.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. And I mean, translations of the Bible, similar story, different, how sin is translated. Is it even meant to be sin, or actually was it a different word? So it's, one is the translation side, the other side is the politics. How did the politicians in charge want to steer?
You are on my favorite topic. Yes. Oh, I'm a Romanologist. I studied all of Rome is my forte, my passion, my love. I love Roman history. I like my podcast is me soapboxing Rome and the psychology of Rome. It's oh my goodness. Yes, the entire New Testament, especially the Revelation, is very much a cry against Rome. And for instance, the three-headed beast is the Roman Empire. And it's referring to the 3 seats inside the Roman Empire. But you've got a lot of people today who know nothing about Rome. And they're reading it going, oh, it's going to be a literal. No, it's Rome. It's Rome. Like, spoiler alert, it's Rome. It's absolutely in reference to the Roman Empire. There is so much. I love reading the Bible. It's one of my favorite. Very soon, I'm going to start an actual reading of the Bible where I read it section by section, and then I translate it based off of, this is what I know about so everything, like theology, philosophy, sociology, psychology, and I'm at 12th perspective. So it's like, let me translate this for you, what it really means. Once you have this accumulated knowledge, and knowledge changes the meaning of everything. It's just, you have me on my happy place. I'm very much in my happy place. I'm like, yes. Like, I could talk for hours. I could do a podcast on nothing, but let's dissect Rome. Yeah. Yeah, very, very much.
That's very special. Yeah. And do you have you read Neville Goddard and his take on the Bible? And
I have
you might
not.
find that interesting, because
Go ahead.
he takes the images in the Bible and translates them really into more modern day concepts. I haven't read all that much, but the little bit I did read, I thought was very beautiful, but it's very limited what I can share about it.
I do not. To me, someone like Neville Goddard is hearsay. It's his translation, and I prefer going to the source and doing my own translations. That's Goddard's perspective. Respect for his perspective, but I don't want someone's perspective on another person's perspective. The Bible is this person, it's an original perspective. And then you have
It
somebody who
is,
reads the
yes.
Bible and gives their perspective. And my personal taste is not, I don't want a person's perspective on this perspective. And it's probably because I was raised with a ram it down your throat religion. It wasn't, it was not a gentle, pleasant Christian experience for me. It was, I attended school at the church. I attended Sunday school, and then I worked for the church. To attend our own parochial school, we had to work in the church to afford the fees. And then we were there for the services. So I was at the church literally 7 days a week for the first 10 years of my life. I had teachers ramming it down my throat. I had the principal ramming it down my throat. I had my mother ramming it down my throat. So, and then at 13, I wanted to get baptized, and they actually gave me a lot of pushback on it. They're like, no, we don't want you to be baptized. By the way, I was Baptist. I was fundamental Southern Baptist. So I'm like, what do you mean you don't? And I wanted, oh my goodness, I was such a devout Christian. That's actually one of the reasons why I went into philosophy, is because I was so devout that I wanted logical evidence to prove that God existed. That way I could logically prove that God existed to the world and be like, there. 6 months in, I became an atheist and decided that God existed. It's like, okay. But I kept it to philosophy 30 years in. And then this year, in fact, I was going through a logical argument, and I went through I'm going to be a weak agnostic. I did not like bias. I hate prejudice to this day. I did not like extremes. I want to be in the harmonized yin yang zone. That's what the harmonized yin yang zone. Both sides are right. I like spirituality and science merged together. So I'm sitting here. So I decided to go as a weak agnostic, which means I believe we don't have the answer yet, but I believe that we can one day. That's weak agnostic. But I was really leaning on the side of atheist. But I was also very open-minded to the fact that the atheists also might be wrong. And I just don't know. And then about 20 years into my philosophy, I said, no, I'm an atheist. I'm just going to own it. I'm an atheist. So I lived as an atheist for a while. And then I went to Buddhism. And then I pulled back again. And then this year, I'm sitting here going, in my psychology work, the core of the human being is love. We are pure love. What I said, what I said earlier about the identity, one moment, I'm sorry. What I said earlier about the identity, about how we are an accumulation and a mass of love. We are love. And then I went, we are love. And this is when I was in the seventh perspective, and I was going, all right, I understand. These are my transgressions. These are my scales. I'm here alone with the universe. I am love. I am significant, and I am nothing. And I am significant. I am all, and I am nothing. I am love. We are love. God is love. I am God. And it was like this. That was
how beautiful.
I believe that this is my very absolute in my perspective. I believe that God is us. I am God. You are God. And we are God. And it's extraordinary. I believe that we are all one in the same. And that when we each take our own individual godhood and combine them, we become an even greater, larger God. Personally, I believe we are sentient molecules of a greater God being, and we are just the DNA.
Okay.
But it's a sentient DNA of a God, and God is within me. I am God, and combined we are God. But you are also your own God, and you have a greater supreme being that is also your God. And it might be the same supreme being as mine, but it's now we're getting into dimensions. So I did define God after all. It took me 30 years, but in my opinion, I went, all right, I have found God. God is me. There.
Yeah, wow, what a journey to get there. I mean,
It
sounds like
was.
you're so intentional and just also very academic, about it, which I think is wonderful, really deciding to study philosophy to prove a point. I mean, that's very, very unusual and highly interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very, very unusual, and it was extraordinary. It's been I'm not done yet. Well, hence why I'm like, I want to know everyone's perspective now. The other question I had for you, let me see here. We had the energy question. We had what do you think is wrong with the world today? Like, what do you think is the big wrong with the world? Like that, I love this question. What's wrong with the world
Yeah.
today?
And I think what's wrong, and I don't think it's just wrong today. I think it's just always been the case for us, is that we come to this earth, we have no idea why we came, and we need to remember why we came. And with that remembrance, we'll all have our purpose. And with purpose, we're in love. And with love, everyone's, I mean, especially when you're focusing on your own purpose and you're in love and everyone does that, you're not going to be worried or interested in what other people do because you're just on your way spreading love. And so I really feel that there's this lack of consciousness on that level, that why am I here? And there's on a very simple level, I guess. I mean, if we want to put it into one word, it's communication.
Yeah.
Now, how do I communicate with myself? How do I portray that to the outside? How do I communicate with others? How do I listen to others? That communication is such a, I mean, that's
It's yeah.
my, I love communication.
Yeah, no, very,
And
very much. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I think if people were really just more aware and more on purpose,
Yeah.
I think would trauma be eradicated? Probably.
I believe it. I truly believe it.
Yeah.
For me,
Mm.
I see a mindset, and there's a lot of can't doers. I call them can't doers, skeptics,
Mm.
saying, oh, you can't do world peace. You can't. And I'm going, first of all, we already are all following the same mindset. We all have one mindset and we're all doing it. The mindset we are all following is, I am right. There's a hierarchy and I'm at the top.
Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm.
And there's a second mindset that has started called there's a circle, or in my world, there's a spectrum. And we're all right and we are all wrong. We all have our own personal truth, and we need to learn how to respect the different truths of everybody else while you respect your own. And this group over here is growing. And I'm going, we've proven that we can all obey one mindset. We are doing it. And we have a second one that's healthier, that's wiser, that's growing. Why can't we just nurture that one? Prove to them that you can have one ultimate mindset and just choose that one over this one because that one's better and nicer. And when you go over into the high class, this is something I love. I recently made the class change from low class over to high class. And when I got into the high class, it was this mind-blowing, it's the ideal mindset that I think, and everyone here thinks the same thing. Everybody is higher. There's no hierarchy in high class. It's all, everybody's the same. When you are new, people will rush to you and say, how can I help you? What resources do you need? Do you need money? True story. And they will throw money at you and do whatever you can to plug you up and build you. Everyone. Wow. And you've got like 50 celebrities all around you going, what can I do to help? Let's get you started. What's your dream? This is my dream. And it's great. We're all going to work together. It's like stone soup. And I'm going, oh my goodness. And they're just, that's what I need to call this, is the stone soup. I love it. And they're just like, let's build you up and let's get you. And they literally are in this resourceful regeneration of just, let's get all the new people in here and get them in. And I'm going, you guys are already doing it. And this is where I started to realize I'm currently toggling between the classes. I'm over in the high class and I'm going, I don't want to leave the degradation mindset yet, because the low and the middle class, because I'm going, I want to build a bridge. I want to build an instruction video to say, so you want to get over to the high class where all the money is, where all the wealth is, where all the community is. Let me show you how to do it. And I'm actually, that's what I'm doing now, is building two courses. They're both going to be free. One is for people who are in the lower perspectives, the foundationals. So if you're stuck in that mindset or you're trapped due to trauma, it's we're going to heal you to get you here. and then you grab the second free course, and it's grooming you and growing you, healing you. Grooming, growing, and healing you right to my doorway. And then I give you the network into the high class, and we start making connections and building your wealth and your career. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this.
That sounds incredible.
I'm so eager. And I realized that, and I'm actually, I have my notes all over here. For one of the things that I realized was there is this misunderstanding. There's also two offshoots. There's two offshoots in between middle class and high class. And that's the wealthy. This is where Trump is. And this is where the Wolf of Wall Street and the Wall Street tycoons are. These are not high class people. These are just wealthy people who are just messed up, who never made it to high class. These are not, this is not where we want to be. And these two offshoots is what is seen by the public. So low and middle class think that this is where they want to be. No, this is a dog eat dog. This is vicious. And the low and middle class are actually identical to these two offshoots. The only difference is they have money, which is why these people say having money is not it. Now, if you figure this out, you go to high class, because these are the people who say it's not the money. These people say it's all about the money. And then you max out and you realize it's not about the money. I'm still miserable. What is it? The answer is community and networking and helping each other with your resources. High class has figured this out. So high class, this is where your philanthropists are. This is where they're doing, this is where what is it you did? Just give me a minute. What was the last? Live Aid. Thank you. Live Aid. It's what like I'm
is
talking
that Queen?
That's Queen.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, that's Freddie Mercury.
Okay. Oh, lovely.
What was that concert you did? Live Aid. That's my truth. That's my truth. This is my husband. You probably have heard of him. I have canvases all over the house. He's my husband. This is my emotional support.
Wow.
So Live Aid is a great example of this. Live Aid is the concert that they put on. That was done by the high class philanthropists to raise awareness in Africa. That is high class work at its finest. That's them going, let's do a music concert where all tickets go to this cause. That is high class. And that's where people at the top, the billionaires and the philanthropists, pool this beautiful world together. And in fact, when I was at a meeting this last week, that was proposed. I was in with the Baha Men and a few other people, and they were talking about like, hey, let's do this for children with visual problems. And they're now doing another music concert to raise money. And I've been invited to join that. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Like, I am so excited. One of the events, I'm also an executive producer. One of the events I'm going to be hosting later is giving voice to the voiceless. And it is basically raising awareness for children who have had this is all children. This is my passion. So I need to calm down so I can communicate. Children, because of the hierarchy, children are at the bottom. And this is what I think is wrong with the world, is you've got adults up here going, hierarchy, we're better than you. And they are teaching that to children. And the rule number one is children shouldn't be seen, or should be seen, not heard. And we are all raised without our voices. So we have this trauma associated with talking. So now those children become adults and they can't talk. So I have a plan, an event that I'm wanting to host where it's giving voice back to the children. Let the children talk. You want to know what kind of a parent you are? Ask your children. One of my favorite, and if the children doesn't speak, there's your truth. If your children is too afraid to tell you the truth, that is your truth. That you have made your child too afraid to speak. And I want to push a massive promotion of raising awareness to how often we make our children silent without even, it's that mindlessness. And here's the thing. I'm very, very familiar with Child Protective Services on so many levels. The biggest obstacle that Child Protective Services has is trying to sort out the silent abused children from the silent not abused children. You want to figure out which children are being abused? Let the children talk. The abused children won't talk. Boom, those are the ones who are being abused. The ones who are encouraged by their parents to speak will speak. So if you propose this massive event where parents are taught and encouraged to participate in a have your children speak, tell your children, the children are going to be wary at first. It's going to take about, give them 30 days, 30 to 90 days. Give the floor, and I want to teach parents how to allow their children to speak. And then the children will very shy, like, I'm allowed to talk. I can tell you what I think. And you're going to see it. I cried when I first did this with my children. It was an awareness. And I did this about 15, 20 years ago with my children. Yeah, about 15 years ago. I got to see my children too afraid to speak. They were 5, 6, 7, and that changed everything for me. They are now 16, 19, and 20. And I changed the way I parented. I developed a concept of, I call it cards on the table, no consequences. The focus is, it is most important that they validate and express themselves no matter what. And consequence-free, if they called it, Mom, I want consequence-free. Speak, you have the floor. They knew they could say whatever they needed and there would not be held against them. It was psychologically safe. It was, so my children never lied to me. You know, when you're 30 and you have confession time with your parents where you finally come forward and say, hey, Mom, remember that time I was 10 and this happened? It was me. You remember that? Everyone does it. It's because you're not safe to communicate when you're a child. So you wait till you're 30 to confess your sins to your parents, right? My children were doing it at age 12.
Wow.
My children were doing it at age 16 and 15. I suddenly had my 2 youngest children opening up full confessional, telling me everything. And I went, they're doing this 15 years ahead of their time.
Amazing. Yeah, what a gift for them.
Thank
And
you.
for you,
It
but especially for
was
them.
so insightful. So I have this, the plan is going to be part 1 is teaching parents how much their own trauma and their own upbringing and societal expectations teaches us to silence our children. Now, the healthy parents, the one with good intentions, will absolutely jump into this and allow their children to talk.
Yeah.
Abusive parents who have secrets to hide will not.
Yeah.
That should make things real simple for Child Protective Services.
It should, yeah.
So
are they on board?
Yeah.
Do they know about it yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
This is just in the brainstorming stage, and I'm putting together the psychology of it and the program, and then I'm doing the networking now to pull people into it on the top level. Always work from the top down. Don't go from the bottom up. You go from the top down. That's how you get stuff done. So I'm at the top now, putting together the idea, basically building the executive event, and then I'm going to be releasing it and pushing it forward through Child Protective Services, through this campaign of the way it's that mimic repetition role model. And we need to change the way we role model. That's what it comes down to. We have been setting the bad example for our children, and it's time to change that. Setting a hierarchy thinking instead of a spectrum thinking. Your child is your equal. This whole honor your father and mother needs to go. It's disgusting because it's hierarchy, and it's just, it's lower thinking. It's just so toxic for children. I'm done preaching now, I promise.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. And I'm just thinking of my brother, like one of my 2 brothers, and I think he'd be really interested in knowing about this, you know, when you're ready.
Send him over. Absolutely. No, I'm ready now. Send him over.
Yeah, okay.
I love minds. I love minds to brainstorm with. Yeah, anyone who's interested in this, like, I want to start putting this together now. If we wait until I'm ready, you'll never be ready. It's the people coming together that get you ready. So yes, bring them over. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to start. Yeah. So
I love that.
Yeah, voice to the voiceless is what I'm referring it to.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on doing the same thing with raising awareness for mental illness, the stigma. and the disabled. Yeah, children, and then the mentally ill, and then the homeless is also another one, another voiceless community, and animals, of course. But I have to handle that one delicately because I cannot be around animal abuse. So I don't know how to do. I don't believe in the. I'm struggling with that one, because whenever you step into the world of animal rights, there's a lot of people who love to show you pictures of abused animals, and I cannot be around that because I have 20 years of significant animal abuse that I was subjected to. So I have to figure out delicately how to handle that without the trauma.
Yes, I understand that. I actually cannot see those pictures either, even without that kind of background. I cannot. I have to make sure I don't follow someone, so I don't see the pictures. Because some people just post them, and you've seen it before you know it, and it's so jarring, and it stays. It stays in my mind.
Yeah, same. I donated money to one animal rights community one time, and they retaliated. I'm using that word. They retaliated by sending me horrific pictures of abused dogs. I can't say no more.
Sorry.
This is my limit. I have to stop here.
Yeah, let's not think about it, because
it's
really disturbing and distressing.
It is not an effective way. And that's another thing of that is not, I'm aware of the problem. You do not need to show me the whole.
Right.
And so for me, that is actually one of my solid boundaries, is I cannot hear or see or be around animal abuse. Like that's no. So that being
there are
said,
enough others, aren't there? There are enough others, sadly, but there are enough other groups for you to get started with.
Yeah, exactly.
And make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And these kind of things, I imagine, will trickle down.
Very much.
Once you've.
I like that trickle effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am doing something. Operation Imagination has a couple fronts. The first one is the global healing plan, my radical global healing plan. The other one is the round table. And the round table consists of two parts. There's the voting part for the executive producer side of it. And then the second side of it is the, what do we call that? It's like a whiteboarding. It's when you sit down and you brainstorm. Yeah, I can't remember the exact word for it, but I have one of those where we come around and we just like brainstorm solutions. And that's it. It's basically a solution board for
like a think tank kind of thing.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yes. I have my think tank, and then I have my round table. And the round table is where it's $15,000 per member, and it gets you a voting seat at the table. The $15,000 goes into a vault. And then at the end of 1 year, we pull the money out, $15,000 per person, and that accumulated funds, we vote on, all right, what event are we going to host that's going to solve this problem? And then we take the ideas of the think tank and we solve the problem. So the think tank puts together solutions. It's the solution board. And then the round table funds it and votes. Boom, there's my idea. That's Operation Imagination. And this is partnered with the Global Healing Plan. So while the Global Healing Plan is going out and spreading through the mimic repetition and role model, we also have the round table and the think tank that are working hand in hand. I'm very excited about this. Like, I am so excited about this.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. And is the think tank and the round table, are they the high class?
No, it's people? Anybody.
It's anybody. Okay.
Yes. Anybody who wants to join. Anybody who wants to join. There is no discretion. Okay. Anyone, you have to be a philanthropist. That's it. You just have to care. You have to be a humanitarian. Okay. If you come in throwing money at me, like if Trump were to say, for my reputation, I want, no. I don't want your money. This is not for you to flout your reputation. This is for us to help people. So that is the only criteria, is you have to either view yourself as a humanitarian, a light worker, and or a philanthropist. Even if you're a
Okay.
philanthropist in spirit. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the think
It's
tank is open to anybody.
yeah.
The
Okay.
round table is $15,000 per seat.
Okay.
So I am so excited for this project.
Yeah.
And that is going to be partnered with the global healing, the radical global healing plan. So that is
Mm.
my idea of a world government. That's it right there.
Yeah, I
It's
love
like,
it. I love
thank
it.
you. Thank you.
What's your timeline? Is it kind of already
It's in
there, or is
place.
it
Yeah, it is in place.
place?
June of 2024 is when I want to hold the first vote in New York City. And I'm
Right.
wanting to turn it into a 3-day event where we pull together the holistic arts, meditation, manifestation, positive affirmations. And it's 3 days in New York City, headquarters in New York City, but it's going to be global, where we all vote, manifest. Like, while we're voting on this, we're also meditating for world peace. And it's really world peace driven. Let's assume for a minute that all of the spirituality, I believe that it is. But let's assume for a minute that all of spirituality is actually linked to physics and the electromagnetic field. Let's assume for a minute that all of our positive energy changes the seismic waves of the planet. If it is the case, then let's accumulate all of our positive energy and change the energy, at least counter what's coming out of the war countries, so that we are healing it with our energy. If it doesn't work, we all get to see an example of how many of us care about world peace.
Yeah.
And if it does work, if the energy that pushes through could, hypothetically, if it does work, change the world. And I believe very strongly that there is negative energy and positive energy. I believe this is physics. And I believe that, and I have many friends who are scientists, and as much as I love the spirituality, I am very adamant about sticking to the science, sticking to the physics. And I'm like, I have a lot of people. I have so many people messaging me about their lucid dreams, asking me for my opinion. And my response in every case is, I'm going to take what you're saying and I'm going to turn it over to science. This is what I know based off of scientific documentation. Boom, boom, boom. And it's very short. It's very brief. I'll tell you now, this is my belief. We do know that the hippocampus grows as we get educated. We do know that it shrinks under trauma. The hippocampus is very close to the amygdala, and the amygdala is the part where all of our emotions are, basically our hormones are out of that area of the brain. We do know that the more logical a person is, because of the more educated they are, the hippocampus grows. The hippocampus is about the size of a walnut. We do know that at the sixth perspective, this is based off of Dr. Graves' work and my research, 100% of all cases, when you reach the sixth perspective, you feel things. We know also that the brain and the spinal cord is 100% an electrical current. It is electrical. We also know that we are standing on a massive electromagnetic field. CERN physicists are over there poking at it every day. So I'm going, you're telling me that we live on an electromagnetic field that is magnetized with two polars, and we've got an electrical machine wiring our entire system. The hippocampus grows, and at the sixth perspective, everyone is consistently saying and reporting the exact same thing. So that when the moon changes, now, before I was consciously aware of the cycles of the moon and the astrology, every time I feel it. And then I started to pick up on what people were saying, and I started to map the correlation. After a year, 2 years actually, mapping the correlation, the first year without any actual knowledge of the planets and what was going on, because I'm not into astrology, I went, oh my God, they match. This is not a coincidence. So this is what I think. I believe that the hippocampus turns into a kind of an antenna. when it reaches the
Okay.
sixth perspective. And I believe that the hippocampus becomes so enlarged that it sends out an energy wave and actually connects to the electromagnetic field. I believe that at the sixth perspective, our hippocampus literally connects us to the electromagnetic field like a battery. And I believe that that frequency, when you add an imagination in the mix, which is a highly mysterious and very powerful thing in our minds, really does some ostentatious, incredible things.
Yes.
We have no knowledge of any of this, no research, but we've got a lot of people going, something's going on. And my logical conclusion is this, that at the sixth perspective, when you hook up to the electromagnetic field, you become a battery that's been powered. And if you are, we all have our own frequency inside of us. Trauma is when we have an invasive frequency inside of us. And I noticed through all of my psychological research and the trauma healing that all you are doing when you heal is removing the invasive frequency outside of you. So you have your frequency, let's say it's E major, and then you've got somebody who steps in who's a D sharp minor. D sharp minor is not compatible with E major. It's going to clash. And that is harmonic dissonance. Cognitive dissonance causes all of emotional pain. This is fact. In psychology, cognitive dissonance causes pain. Why wouldn't harmonic dissonance cause us pain?
Right. I mean, it does in music. I mean, it
Exactly.
it hurts.
It does.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I believe that at the sixth perspective, we finally become so tuned into this battery and the electromagnetic field that we can feel the invasive frequency, which is why suddenly at the fifth and sixth perspective, we go, I need to heal. I have too much trauma, because you can feel the frequency. So when you heal, you're actually withdrawing the toxic frequency out of you. And then once you align to your own frequency, for me, the full moon is a chakra bath. The full moon is an energy bath. It's just correcting my alignment. And I'm going, yes, please correct my alignment. And it feels so good. I have, and by the way, for those who are into astrology, I have 4 Taurus. I am a Taurus sun, Taurus moon,
Wow.
Taurus Mercury, and Taurus ninth house, and a Leo
Wow.
rising.
Okay.
I have people going, oh my God, are you okay? You got like, I'm like, I'm fine, because I know what this is. So I use my science and my physics and my music theory and my psychology and my philosophy to align me. And I'm going, I'm good. I found my frequency, my vibration, so I'm good. I know how to use music.
Yeah.
And I put my own case studies and my own clients through my program, and I watch the same thing going, I'm feeling fantastic. Yes, because we're aligning your frequency to the vibrational frequency of the actual electromagnetic field. And it's simple. And I've passed this information on to my science friends. And aside from it's logical, we don't have enough data, but it's logical. We don't have anyone doing the research yet, but it's logical. So I'm going, yes, we need to start looking at this, because this is what's consistent. This is what's inconsistent. Throw out what's inconsistent. But what is consistent is everything I just said in the last 10 minutes. That's consistent. So that I'm so excited. I'm so eager. I believe that in 20 years, I believe in 5 years, scientists are going to start researching this. I'm probably going to be the one at the front of it going, funding this and pushing it, like, you guys need to do this. This is consistent. This is inconsistent. I know there's a lot of spiritual people out there who are uneducated, so they talk a lot about a lot, but consistently, this is what they're all saying. Can we please start doing some research? Because what they want is answers, and science isn't giving them answers. So they're making up a lot of stuff to explain, because they don't know and they're scared. So my goal is to provide them with a logical scientific explanation so they're not scared. I believe that spirituality and science will come together. And I believe physics is the glue. I believe physics is all of it. Physics. The answer is in physics. I'm certain of this. I need a neuroscientist. I need a brain scientist. I need a physicist. And I need basically a bunch of astrological and light workers giving data. And
Yeah.
it's like, and when people come to me, it's like, look, I understand you've got your spirituality and your religion. I'm only interested in the stuff that is identical to everybody else. We're all different. We all have our own imaginations. So your imagination and your dreams are going to pull from whatever you crammed into your brain. So if you studied a bunch of Christianity, your dreams are going to be Christian based. If you studied a bunch of Islam, your dreams are going to be Islam based. And if you studied a bunch of Akashic records, you're going to be Akashic records based. That's just your love and your passion and your interest. That doesn't mean anything. I believe it does a little bit. I believe that that tells us what country of origin their frequency is located at. That's what I believe.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Mine is Ireland. I am 100% tuned into the Celts, to the Irish. That is my vibrational frequency. I am like the myths of the Tuatha De Danann. I'm going, there's truth in there. That's my truth. But somebody comes to me with the Akashic records or the Christian religion, and I'm going, that doesn't feel right to me. I belong in Ireland. I belong in Ireland. Like that's I'm in New York City, but the culture of Ireland is what resonates with my frequency, which is why we say things like, that resonates with me. The physics is already inside of our language. We're just not aware of it. That's he's got good vibes. Vibrations, that's a frequency. We're already thinking in terms of energy. So yes,
there is research being done on that, isn't there? I mean, there are researchers, scientists who show the actual vibration. They show the waves. They can see the energy field and how hearts connect. I mean, I've seen pictures of this.
Absolutely,
so there's already stuff out there, isn't there? And there's interest, basically.
And the most impactful conversation I've ever had, it was with my friend Maury. He's a neuroscientist. And in the last conversation we had, he says to me, the subconscious mind doesn't exist.
Okay.
I'm a psychologist. You can't say that to me. And I'm going, and I had multiple personality disorder. I lived inside of my head for 32 years. And he's going, it doesn't exist. Don't tell me it doesn't exist. My world is the subconscious mind. And you're telling me it doesn't exist. And he says, it doesn't exist anywhere in the brain.
Okay.
And I just went, and that opened the wonderful world of the abstract plateau, the abstract plane of existence. Now we're getting into philosophy, which apparently is also my other world. So this is like,
yes, bring it all together.
And I'll tell you, this is really what did it. About a day, literally the very next day, this is why I think the universe has the universe and I are, she loves me. She takes care of me. So after that day, it bugged me. I left that conversation. Subconscious mind doesn't exist. How could this, where is it? And then my son says to me something about mathematics. I'm not quite sure what he says, but he's like, what is math? And I'm like, so I Google it. And the dictionary defines math as this. It's an abstract concept. And I went, math is abstract. You know what else is abstract? Money. Money is abstract. And time is abstract. And I'm going, math, money, time. Imagination is also abstract. So is the subconscious mind. If we can revolve an entire culture around mathematics, money, and time, then why not imagination and the subconscious mind? So now I'm going, these are the abstract sciences. And this is really, one of my names is the ambassador of imagination.
Nice. Yeah.
So that is really, I speak voice of the voiceless. I speak for the imagination.
Yes.
It is an abstract concept that has been absolutely abused in our culture. And I'm looking at it going, I am pretty sure the imagination, and I have found connections to the more a person's imagination has been abused, the more mentally ill they are.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And again, I feel we come back to power. If we all tapped into our imagination and we were at the 6th or 7th perspective or higher, we would have far too much power, so it's been eradicated from our cultures.
Absolutely.
But slowly
Yeah.
we're remembering, we're
Yeah.
coming back. So a few of us, like a lot, and it's growing, a growing number.
I
of
call
people.
it the great remembering. And that's all we're
Yeah.
doing is waking up and remembering. I'm at the
Yeah.
12th perspective. And I remembered at the 6th, 7th, 8th. And then from the 7th up to the 12th, it was learning the higher side. See, higher is hierarchy. I don't like that again. It's learning the next stage.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's not about better or worse. It's really, they all have
Spectrum.
their good and
It's just it's a different mindset. It's really different
Yes.
on this area. So, and it's getting you closer to the abstract. And I'm going, all right, so corporeal material plane, and then it's the beginning of the abstract plane. And really, physics is what rules this world. When you pass the 7th or past the 6th, it is physics is in charge over here. Bottom line, physics is in charge here. So it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. Very, very, very interesting, fascinating, and I love everything you've shared, and I mean the research and the time and everything that's gone into it. Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. This has been absolutely pleasurable. I would love to follow up with you in another month or so, and definitely keep in touch.
I would love that. I would love that, Anna. And if there are any things opening up, any invitations, please do count me in, because I'd love to know. I love all these topics, and I'd love to support you in some way. So
I would love that. Yeah, I'll collect your email, and then I'll probably be putting together. I have a newsletter, but I need to get more disciplined with it, and actually I need to organize. There's my truth. I need to get organized. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. You inspired me. You have given me a different perspective. Thank you so much for your gift. Thank you. I will be in touch with you, and yes, I will get you a list of everything. I'll send you my menu. I have a menu of just this is everything I'm doing. You can cherry pick whatever ones you want, and there you go. So
sounds great.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, and thank you.
Are we good to publish this on the podcast, or it'll be under the okay? It's under the Philosopher's Pilgrimage is what it's called.
I love that name.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, Anna. Bye.